Are you ready? Okay. We're here with Frank Rossavik. He's from Norway, and he's studying American politics, and in particular, Republican Party. He's going to give us his view on when we should go to war and when we should not. We're talking specifically about the problem in the Ukraine. So my first question for you is, do you have a principle that permits you to determine when you think a country should go to war and when it should not?
I think questions of war and peace are not that simple, but we have opposing principles. One of them is obviously that we have to do everything that we can reasonably do in order to avoid a large war that could also escalate into a nuclear war. And the situation in Ukraine is of a kind that makes such a question relevant. The other question is, or the other principle, if you like, is that one should have the duty to defend a nation and a people striving for independence and for their right to determine their own future. And in that sense, we should support Ukraine.
Okay, so my question was, if you are a citizen of a particular country, when do you think your country should go to war? Implied in your answer, I'm hearing that to defend another country or to permit them to be free is a reasonable reason for your country to go to war, except if it risks greater risk of nuclear war or damage. Is that your answer?
That was also the situation during the Cold War. As you will remember, the Soviet Union intervened in Hungary in 1956, right, and in Czechoslovakia in 1968.
And America did nothing.
And America did nothing.
Right.
And we have something like an equal situation here.
Yeah, but and I want to talk about Ukraine. But first, I think we should get your general view about war and peace for your own country, which I would say is the same for any country. The question is, do you have a principle that permits you to determine when we should go to war or where we should not? I heard in your first answer, you correct me if I'm mistaken, that you don't have a principle.
I have a principle when one should go to war.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm asking.
And that was applying also to the situation in Ukraine.
Okay, so what is your principle?
Yeah, that is that situation defends. It is possible to defend armed support for Ukraine. However, one also has to take into consideration that this situation can escalate. So yes. I would I would personally be happy to go to Ukraine to fight with the Ukrainians against Russian invaders. But I'm not so sure that NATO should intervene because it could escalate the whole situation out of control.
Yeah, well, I still haven't got the principle. You're telling me in the specific situation of Ukraine, you would be willing to go over there. You're not sure if the government should get involved or not. But a principle has to be general and not specifically directed to one situation.
We have opposing principles.
What is the principle that you're using to determine when you should go to war?
No, one cannot use one single principle. One has
you have more than one principle.
I have more than one principle. Just like Roger Marx.
Right. What are your principles?
I have...
In this regard?
Yes. The principle is that we have to do anything that is possible to support Ukraine without...
And Ukraine can't come into the principle. The principle is universal for any situation. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When Norway should go to war?
I don't have one single principle for how to determine a war or not.
Okay, so is it possible to evaluate effectively without a principle or a set of principles which you know the relationship between these principles? Can you evaluate effectively without a principle? In any subject?
you can. The principles help you to analyze the situation, and in this situation, I'm sure that you appreciate that it is necessary to have the bigger picture as well. One reason for war is, of course, if you are attacked. If Norway is attacked, then we have every right to fight against the intruder, and that is a principle. If NATO is attacked, then we also have the duty to go to war because our treaty says so.
You have an alliance.
If a country outside NATO is attacked,
yes,
it is already a different question, because we don't have the obligation to defend them militarily, but we should support them, and that is what is happening. And I would have wished that the support was stronger, but I'm not sure that the situation merits a full-scale war with the danger of destroying the whole globe.
Okay, previously you said you had no principle, but now I hear that you do have some principles. The first one is self-defense if you're attacked. The second principle is if your ally is attacked, you're obligated. And so is there any other situation in which you think you should go to war, your country, that is not self-defense or self-defense implied through an alliance? Because alliances, let me finish this.
Genocides, for example, I find it indefensible that nobody did anything to protect Srebrenica in 1995, I believe.
Protect Rwanda?
And Rwanda. So genocide is a good example. The Libyan War was originally a war to prevent genocide. That was switched into a war on Gaddafi. We have several principles in play, but some of them are opposing each other. That's the difficult thing about principles, that they are not always in line.
So now we're getting somewhere. Now we've seen what your principles are, what you think are just causes for war. Not only self-defense, but also to prevent a genocide.
For example.
Okay, so you think that every country in the world should make a decision as to whether they think that the rights of the citizens of another country are being violated, and therefore they should involve themselves militarily to prevent the abuse of the citizens.
I didn't understand the question. Could you please repeat?
Okay. But the question is, you think that it's proper for your country to get involved militarily to attack another country if you think that the citizens of that country are being abused, say Assad with chemical weapons, genocide, or Saddam Hussein with chemical weapons to the Kurds, genocide? Do you think it's proper for your country to get involved, to make a decision about whether the rights of citizens of another country are being violated, and therefore go to war? So you want every country in the world to follow this principle, to make this decision regarding other countries' situation. In other words, to disregard the principle of national sovereignty. So if the Americans think that the Norwegians are being abused, we will make that decision, us, not you, us. And this is a principle that you would like to universalize and apply to all countries in the world. Have you thought that through?
These questions are muddy. Norway has decided to participate in several wars recently. In Libya, we participated. In Iraq, we participated. In Afghanistan, we participated. Now we are participating in the war on ISIS in northern Iraq. So yes, we are deciding to participate sometimes and sometimes not to participate.
But is that the fact that you are participating mean that it's right?
It means that you are weighing up the pros and cons, and you find out that in this situation it is correct to participate. Yes.
Okay, so you don't believe in the principle of national sovereignty, which is each country should be respected with regards to what is happening inside their country.
Not necessarily. Not for example in the situation of a genocide like in Libya.
Right. Okay.